This is the Ramana Maharshi Satsang. We're dealing with the Ashtavakra Gita now. Listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm not a guru or a teacher. Ramana's teaching is deep and profound, and I want to share it. I'll read and comment on the Ashtavakra Gita, chapter 16, verses 9 through 11. In these verses, Ashtavakra finishes with his special instruction. Ashtavakra said, "One who is attached to the world thinks renouncing it will relieve his misery. One who is attached to nothing is free and does not feel miserable, even in the world. He who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery. Though Hara, Hari, or the lotus-born Brahma himself instruct you, until you know nothing, you will never know the self." So let's review these verses. Chapter 16, verse 9. One who is attached to the world thinks renouncing it will relieve his misery. One who is attached to nothing is free and does not feel miserable, even in the world. This verse highlights the difference between external renunciation and inner freedom. If you believe that the world or its activities will end your suffering, then attachment to the world persists. True freedom comes not from abandoning the world, but from being unattached, allowing you to remain at peace regardless of your circumstances. Ashtavakra teaches you that true freedom is internal and independent of external actions or environments. Many people believe that renouncing worldly possessions, relationships, or responsibilities will bring peace, but such renunciation often leaves the deeper attachment unresolved. The key insight is that misery arises from the mind's tendency to cling to ideas, to objects, and identities. By practicing detachment, not by rejecting the world, but by shifting your perspective within to the self, you can find freedom right where you are. This verse invites you to see life as it actually is, without adding layers of attachment or resistance, and discover that the self is untouched by worldly conditions. 16:10. He who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery. Ashtavakra reveals that liberation cannot belong to the ego or the individual. When liberation is treated as a personal achievement, it becomes another form of attachment, another extension of the ego. True liberation transcends the sense of I altogether and is recognized as the natural state of the self, free of identification with the body or mind. This verse points directly to the trap of spiritual pride and the ego's tendency to appropriate even the idea of liberation. If you view liberation as something you achieve, the you remains at the center, perpetuating duality and suffering. True enlightenment is the realization that there is no individual to be liberated. Liberation is not a personal possession or a milestone. It is the natural state of the self, free from all notions of me and mind. This verse challenges you to let go of any sense of ownership or accomplishment in your spiritual practice, helping you dissolve the illusion of separateness. 16:11. Though Hara, Hari, or the lotus-born Brahma himself instruct you, until you know nothing, you will never know the self. This verse emphasizes the necessity of transcending intellectual knowledge to realize the self. Even divine teachings cannot grant you liberation if the mind clings to concepts or beliefs. Only when you let go of all mental constructs and reside in pure awareness can the self reveal itself. Ashtavakra stresses that intellectual understanding, no matter how profound or guided by revered teachers, is not enough to realize the self. The mind's need to understand and to categorize keeps you in the realm of duality, where the self remains obscured. True realization happens when all mental efforts cease and you surrender completely into the state of not knowing. This kind of not knowing is mental, not knowing with the mind. Of course, you know consciousness is always knowing. In this silence, beyond concepts, is where the self reveals itself as the pure awareness you already are. Ashtavakra encourages you to trust that letting go of all mental constructs leads to the direct, unmediated experience of the self, which is beyond words or teachings. The verses remind you that freedom lies not in outward actions, but in inner detachment. They encourage you to transcend ego-driven goals, including the idea of personal liberation, and let go of all concepts to rest in the direct experience of the self. So now, a video from Nome, free all the while.
Bhagavan says that we imagine we are bound and make efforts to become free, though all the while we are free. If we are bound, then it is only natural to make efforts to become liberated from that bondage. If we suffer, we make efforts to attain happiness. Yet if the bondage is merely imagined, what kind of effort then is to be applied? It is only that of knowledge which puts an end to the imagination. The cause of the illusory or imaginary bondage is simply misidentification, ignorance, not knowing oneself as the self really is. So then, if we deeply and consistently inquire, who am I? The illusory nature of bondage becomes apparent. When ignorance is perceived as ignorance, it is no longer ours. Of all the forms of ignorance, that is, of all the misidentifications, the primal one is the assumption of individuality, the notion of I, which is integral to every other definition one can imagine for oneself. So then, who am I? If you are an individual, and an embodied one at that, then you are defined, and you are confined by what you are defined by. Are you the body? Are you an I? The conception of embodiment comes and goes, but your existence does not come and go. How then can your existence be confounded with the body? Similarly, the supposition of existing as an individual, the idea of I, rises and sets, but your existence does not rise and set. How then can I be an I? bodiless, eyeless, transcendent of the senses and of the mind. Your real nature, Satchidananda, being consciousness bliss, shines. It is innately egoless. It is utterly undifferentiated. Who then imagines illusion? If the I is imaginary, and therefore all bondage is imaginary, can I imagine itself? By such profound inquiry, realizing your nature to be the knowledge, the consciousness itself, find out the impossible character of ignorance. The Maharshi declares that Maya, or illusion, is that which is not. One's bondage is never real. Not a drop of it is real. And what is real is always and perfectly full. Immutably so. So, if bondage appears, make effort to realize inwardly the knowledge of the self. Upon the realization of such knowledge, you see that in the absence of a bound individual, the bondage was never real. There is neither the illusion nor the one who experiences it. Just one self, which is Brahman, alone exists. It is that which has been free all the while. The very being of the self is the knowledge of the self. If for you it seems otherwise, find out for whom is it otherwise. If illusion appears in the form of I, the body, the world, find out for whom it appears. The illusion, being unreal, will vanish. The real, whichever exists, will alone remain. And that is yourself, the Supreme Consciousness.
And now we'll take a few minutes to inquire, to investigate within ourselves. You exist. Notice that you exist, and you know you exist. Now, inquire, investigate within yourself. What attachments do I hold on to that I believe are essential to my happiness or peace? How can I embody freedom while fully engaging with the experiences of life? How does identifying with the I as the doer keep me bound to suffering? Can I let go of all notions, even sacred ones, and simply rest in silent awareness? Who am I? What am I? I know I exist. What is the nature of my existence? All right. Let's close with a chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om,
Peace,
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 peace.
peace.
Mm. That's a beautiful satsang on hump day.
Yes.
So good. So rich the way you prepare it
Uh-huh.
with the Nome segment and the Ashtavakra. I don't know what you're going to do next, but it's
Well, Ashtavakra keeps going on, so I'll be in chapter 17 and we'll find out.
okay. How many chapters in Ashtavakra?
I don't know.
Okay.
As I say, we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the ones coming up is a real long one.
Well,
So
welcome it. We'll welcome it.
anyway, what I feel after these sessions is still a remarkable sense of peace.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's a joy. It's a joy.
Hmm. That's right. You have the peace, and then the mind can shut up for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, for an illusion, it sure is loud.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Well, the illusion has all the life and vitality that we can put into it.
Right, until we cease to identify with it.
Right, right.
Yeah. Mm.
Anyway, namaste. We'll see you next week. Have a
Okay.
good week
Good.
and good inquiry.
Okay, you too.